If you have any questions, please don't if you have any questions, please don't contact me. If you have any questions, please don't I did it again.
How is everyone? We're going to be drawing faces today. That, of course, is assuming you can still remember what a face looks like.
Alright, so everyone has, at this point, a photo reference that they've taken of themselves in possibly three-quarter view, though not necessarily. Some of the faces may be facing straight forward, but everyone should have a strong light source which is sculpting their face so that half of the face is in light, half is in shadow. Let's get this out. Ugh, yikes. Put the mask back on. Yikes. Okay, to begin this process, of course, your reference may be on your cell phone. In this case, I've got mine printed out. This is a photo from about 4 years ago or so, but it'll still do the trick. So, just like when you set out to do your toy, you're going to establish the exteriors first with your angles and proportions. And not so concerned with the angle. I'm sorry, with the proportions at first. It's more of establishing the angles. And we set up the outer boundary, which almost ends up looking like a stop sign. I didn't draw this just for the occasion. I just found this in my pile of demos. So this must have been me with my attempts to be funny. Once you have figured out the outer angles, then of course you will check the proportions. And in this case, your constant is going to be your chin. So take the width of the chin and compare that to the jawline, eye line, and hairline. So in this case, the chin fits 1, 2, 3, just less than 4 times across the jawline, which might be about here. Mine's like barely at 3, so I think because I've got such limited paper on the side here, I wasn't very good about centering this, I'm going to bump mine out to the side, to the left. So I need it to be just more than 4. I'll use my fingers here. Or just less than 4, rather. So the jawline of the left side of the face is going to bump out that direction. And measure across the eye line. Just less than 5. What is happening to this? I didn't adjust, when I bumped that out, I didn't accommodate for the width of the chin. Staying the same. Let's try that again. And so this should be just more than 5. It is nowhere near close. What's going on here? Try this again. 1, 2, 3. Alright, 3.5 when I actually measure appropriately. I'm still off. This should be out further. I was just thinking to myself, I haven't drawn in a long time. I was drawing like 10 minutes ago. No, not really, but this morning, only a few hours ago. Alright, after you establish the eye line, then you're going to check it across the hairline, which is 3. That actually worked out. And probably it's better off to check the height first, but in this case I'm going backwards. So the width of the chin versus the height of the head. Wait a minute, I'm going to do that again. Just less than 5. Okay, bring that down a little bit. So that should be the size of the head. I'm going to get rid of this so I don't get confused. Now, if I've properly mapped out my angles and proportions for the skull, I should be able to trust the positioning. I'm going to do all of my measurements for the facial features based on the chin. So we're going to start at the chin and work our way up. So from the chin to the mouth, and once the mouth is in place, we'll do from the chin to the nose, and then we'll do from the chin to the eye. So it is all going to be based off of the measurements of the chin. You're almost going from this corner to this corner, now this corner to this corner. It's almost as if I'm creating like a ventriloquist dummy out of myself, which I guess isn't that hard to do. This corner to this corner. And where these lines intersect should be the opening of the mouth. Now, granted, my mouth is snarled in this kind of hideous expression, so I'm going to have a lot of angles to establish, actually. And at this point, this is very much review following our study of trees and certainly our more detailed study of the toys. So you should at this point be experts at this process. The only thing I would caution you on is to not psych yourself out just because this is a face and that it's your face. Trust your measurements. Don't be so self-conscious about how you feel you appear in the photo. I mean, for goodness sake, look at me in this photo. Yikes! This is a nightmare that you wish you could. Oh, I thought there was something in my teeth. It was just an eraser crumb, but it was like perfectly placed. At any rate, yeah, you have to really trust your measurements and the angles and proportions. So let's say I've gone through and I've mapped this mouth out so that the angles and proportions are accurate. I wouldn't at this point iron out every single tooth and all of that sort of thing, because I feel like, what if I end up having some drawing issues and I put on in all kinds of detail here? That would end up being wasted time. So for right now, I'm just mapping it out with vague details. So corner of the chin to the side corner of the nose, this corner to this corner, and corner to corner. I mean, my papers are sliding around a little bit, but it should be a little bit easier if you're not working from a printout. If you're working from your phone, you might have an easier time keeping them parallel. If you're on a laptop, of course, then the process is like the trees, where you had to lift your pencil up and then carefully bring that angle down without moving your wrist. This is possibly where my nose goes. And the reason I'm saying possibly is because I'm going to now cross-check it from my mouth. And that's kind of why I need to make sure that the placement on the mouth is resolved first, because not only am I basing my placement of the nose on the chin, but I'm also basing the placement of the nose on the mouth. So assuming, and again, I'm going through this kind of quickly because it is, for the most part, review. And I also don't want to set you with a 40-minute demo to watch. Assuming the mouth is perfectly resolved, I would go from the corner of the mouth to the corner of the nose, from this corner to that corner. Oh, that changed a little bit. Corner of the lip to the corner of the nose, and this corner to that corner. For the most part, I'm actually finding a lot of agreement. It might be surprising. It seems like this nose is enormous in relation to the face. That's probably going to happen. The other thing I haven't taken into account for yet is the nostril, so I am going to kind of place the width of it. You have to remember that in three-quarter view, you're looking at the side of your nose, so it probably will appear larger than you might otherwise expect. If you try to shrink it down, you're likely to have some proportion issues down the road, because it might end up looking like you don't have enough happening on your face. All right, let's go from the chin to each corner of the eye. Oh, you know what? This this photo reference is from last year. Now that I'm putting the pieces together, this was a demo for Advanced Studio, the assignment that replaced the one you're doing. They got a variation of this assignment that was much more complex, so it kind of upped the ante. So this is a big challenge for you, but I replaced this in the advanced classes with something even more challenging. So Yahoo! What I'm doing now is I use the chin to place the eye, but now I'm going to kind of use both eyes to cross-check each other. Because I'm just noticing this eye seems way too high up, and I'm going to try to bring that down more. Yeah, that's totally in the wrong spot. Before I get too caught up in that, I'm going to use the mouth, because remember, we started at the chin, but then if my mouth is perfect and if my nose is perfect, I can use measurements that are found in the mouth to place the eyes as well. Wow. All kinds of discrepancies. So again, you have to make sure that your measurements in the mouth are perfect before you go on to the nose. And you have to make sure that the nose is perfect before you go on to the eyes, because if you're going to try to use those measurements to establish anything up above it, if there are issues down here, those issues, they're going to cause further, more extreme issues up above. So I'm not being all that careful in my layout here, again, just to move the demo along. So that's why I'm going to encounter far more drawing issues than I should if I were doing this carefully. And also, as I'm checking the nose and the mouth against the eyes, the ability to achieve some of these angles, they're also giving me more accuracy in the form of the eyes. All right, so again, we'll assume that all these are perfect, even though they're absolutely not, and then we continue on up to the eyebrows based off of the chin. So you notice everything is locking itself down into the chin. Chin to this eyebrow, and so on and so on. We could do from the mouth as well. All right. At this point, I assume you're getting the idea. What in the world is happening with this temple, right? So I'm going to try to bring that back in, because that doesn't make any sense. And a lot of this is going to be like carving and sculpting. Again, it's all review from the toy Child's Play assignment. We're just kind of upping the ante. You go through, you keep chipping away at this until eventually you end up with a drawing that is basically yourself. So what I've done here also as a next step is try to establish the division lines of, actually I'll point with a pencil so you can still see, the division lines of the shadows that occur, because that kind of map, it doesn't need to be as specific as the one I've laid out here, because again, this is for a slightly different version of this assignment, but it is still helpful to be able to note the shadow formations. Here I've actually shaded it in, but again, you don't need to do that for this process. This is for a different assignment, as I said. Yeah.
If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me via email. And in the meantime, please continue to practice social distancing, wash your hands, and wear a mask.